Arsenal nil, PSG 1. Sacre bleu! Come on, PSG! 1-0. The Gunners lose at home to PSG in an interesting first leg semi-final game. We're excited. Chelsea fans, Man United fans, everybody that's not an Arsenal fan is happy today. People that want to see him put in their place after them getting all high and mighty, defeating and kicking out Madrid out of the cup. So it was an interesting match. It was interesting to watch. It's not like it was a bad game. The result, I believe, is fair, taking into account that PSG was visiting. So before we get into it, please like, comment, but above all, subscribe so you can continue watching my videos. I am a Chelsea fan channel, but I'm Premier League focused, but we love football, don't we? So we're gonna watch. I found the Frenchest thing today that I own to wear today. I'm not gonna go as far as wearing a PSG jersey. I don't know when I'm a Chelsea fan, but London is blue. Is bleu today, and I'll take that over it being an Arsenal red. And look, the reality is that team is still good enough to do some damage on the return leg, especially with some of the stuff we're going to talk about. So the first thing, lineups out, and the reminder: Thomas Partey not being in. He's one of the most important players. Is one of these players kind of like Caicedo is at Chelsea, or some of these DMs, defensive midfielders, destroyers, breakers of the game, box to box, four lung players are very important, and you don't know until they're missing. And he's there out of some foolishness committed against Madrid, and I think that was felt. Another thing that was interesting is, look, Arsenal got away with not having Odegaard show up for Madrid because Declan Rice did some magic Declan Rice stuff with the two most amazing free kicks, one of them being probably one of the best ever, and making it an imposible to remontar, an impossible remontada for Real Madrid to really handle, especially with all the shenanigans that they have going on. Luis Enrique mentioned that supposedly that PSG is going to play better without Mbappe than with it, and I think that's starting to come true, without a doubt. If by better you mean more, organized as a team, then yeah, absolutely. Better in terms of results, well, they're going to prove that or not, right? We're going to see that. Speaking of Luis Enrique, I always have to put the Chelsea thing, and he was available for us at some point, and I'd rather have him than what we got. But in any case, he's a better coach than Arteta, and certainly more experienced than Arteta. And I think that has some weight. It has some weight when things are tight in games like these. Um, PSG seen a little bit as the underdog, and I think they like it that way. Going back to them playing better now, you guys have to remember that they had Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar in the same team up front for three. And I was very happy. I hated PSG the whole time because, if Chelsea was one of these that came in with the money and achieved success, PSG was kind of a gross, disgusting version of that, because even Chelsea didn't go for three generational talents when they were already generational talents, pulling them from Barca, pulling them from two of them from Barca, and holding on to Mbappe, and pulling all the players that they pulled in, from Madrid as well. And it was just nuts. And that was like a little too much beyond Galacticos, and like a little bit too much football manager with unlimited budget. So I rooted against them. But now that they've taken another approach to football, I think I'm okay with them winning. And I think I'm rooting for them because I don't want my rivals in London to win anything. I'm glad they already, the North London Bottling Company, the North London Bottling Company, has already bottled the Premier League in the year that with less points they could have done it, and they were the ones called to do it this year. And I'll make a video on Liverpool because congratulations. But in any case, they are the ones that I'm saying the bottling job because they're the favorites to win, at least until right before this match, to win the Champions League, and they should. I think they're the best team. They're the best, and that I mean that at every level. Yes, as a team, and the quality of their players, I think, is absolutely the best. They have the most depth, the most options, playing the more in the tighter league. They're already secure in their league. They can focus on the Champions League. It's not working. The one thing that they don't have, Of course, like I said, Partey being out, which is kind of dumb. And the other one is a 9. And this has been a conversation. So how bad is it? I think it's pretty bad. I don't think they lost this game because they don't have a 9, but you see the difference. Bukayo Saka still is an amazing player. Martinelli is actually brought up his level back up. He did miss an opportunity. They were up there, but I think having the threat of a world-class 9, not just a 9, but a world-class 9 at this level matters. At this elite level, you're gonna say, "Oh, but they have it at Mbappe in Madrid." No, that you guys know that that team's a mess. I mean, like a proper 9. If they had a Harry Kane and Osimhen, or even a Gyökeres, or I mean, even a lower level 9, but that's a solid presence that will pin the center backs down, that will show up for those balls a little bit more aggressively than the wingers can. No, again, no. Look, Trossard is great. Saka is great. A generational talent. Hopefully, he stays on that path. But I think that that absence of a 9 is kind of important, and that's to say that another important position is the keeper. And look, Raya played an amazing game. Raya is proving to be an amazing keeper, and I think he kept them in the match today as well. What an amazing couple of saves. Donnarumma simply better. How important it is to have a world class keeper. I wish we had one in Chelsea. I wish we had a Premier League class keeper, even worse, somebody like Donnarumma. Which, let's remember, he had a tough spot there, where his performance dipped a little bit. And look, even today, if you want to be a pain in the ass, you can see that he went out for a ball. He didn't catch one ball, but look in exchange what he did. How calm he was when under pressure. A couple of times that Arsenal press can be incredibly aggressive and pressed on him. When needed, he plays it long. When needed, he kicks it out of the field. And just amazing saves that kept him in the match. I have not seen it yet because I just ended the game and I started making this video. Would not be surprised if he is the best player, the man of the match. And look, the statistics, I'm going to pull them up, but I want to check them out a little bit because the feeling was, especially who you're watching with the pundits and the commentators, that's why I always have the YouTube channel and I recommend the watch alongs. I was watching it with Mark Goldbridge because I didn't want to hear any Arsenal people. And honestly, my Chelsea people that I normally listen to, even though they were doing the watch along, they can be a little bit too bitter sometimes. So I wanted to go with somebody a little bit more neutral. And I enjoy his watch along certainly. So follow him. He's a great option to watch his content. I don't know what it's like if you're a Man United fan to follow him, but I know as a third party to his commentary, he's fairly decent, and it's big, right? So there's a lot of people in his chats, which is always fun. And if you're watching, especially the commentators, I was watching it on ESPN in Spanish, and there's always this feeling because Arsenal is the expected one to win, and the stats don't tell what the feeling was. The feeling was that Arsenal should have won, could have won that game, but looking at the stats, they didn't. As we can see here with the stats, same amount of shots, similar amount of shots on target. The possession, it felt like Arsenal had more possession, but looking at it right now, they didn't. That's insane. And that's because of that second half when PSG really turned it up a little bit. PSG passed the ball more, they had more accuracy, same amount of fouls, nothing. I mean, there's nothing to go nuts here except I'm glad they didn't get away with it because it's starting to get annoying. The set pieces, the ability of Arsenal on the set pieces, that's freaking terrifying, man. And they're playing these shenanigans, this minor league baseball sort of plays. And one almost worked today with that offside. It was offside the goal that got disallowed. But man, that was an interesting little play. They're starting to even have fun. They've perfected a lot of the set pieces, and now they're actually getting very creative with them. And it's a little scary. It's a bit of a scary proposition, but it worked. At the end, another thing that I think is going to benefit them aside from that Partey, I think he comes back. Let me know in the comments, but I think he comes back for the next match, if I'm not mistaken. But certainly Dembele looked like he got hurt at the end. And he's a very special player, man. And I know he had a dip in performance too, but if you guys see when he would pick up the ball on the right hand side and he's facing the DM and the left back, or two or three players covering the space or blocking him, the fact that this guy can break with his right leg or left leg or lead with either one, and he can shoot with either one and cross with either one. But not only can he, in the sense that the ability, because some players can do that, but on their weaker foot, they look a little bit weirder and they're slower. The way this guy leans on his body, carries his weight, and moves his hips, it really is like impossible to tell like what his preferred foot and where he can go at any time. And that was really incredible. So not having that is terrifying. I saw on a counter, Not only did he break it, he was even slow to play, but he's able to retain the ball with his ability. So terrifying. If they don't have him, I think that's a huge opportunity. Again, I believe Arsenal is still the favorite. They should be able to go and win by 1 goal in Paris at the Parc des Princes. They have the skill, they have the players, they have the talent. I think they have the obligation, because I don't know what kind of season that turns into now for Arsenal if they don't get this Champions League. They didn't manage to get the. I mean, how many years will they put up as well as they play, even if they play well, without winning? Without winning being, I think this year, potentially, if not the best, one of the best teams in the Premier League, and certainly the same thing in the Premier League. Certainly the ones they should have won the Premier League. In the Champions League, now in these latter stages, they should have won after the fall of Madrid and their performances, not only in the Champions League but in general, and the drop, the horrible drop that Man City's having. That's your chance. If you don't take those, you're done, puppy, because they're coming back. City, I hate that, but to think about it, they're coming back. Madrid eventually comes back, and Liverpool's doing well. So I don't see these guys. The North London Bottling Company has to do bottling company has to do something. Certainly has to take the silverware this year. So I think it'll be an interesting return, because when Arsenal had to open up in the second half because they didn't want to take the L, they were hoping for a draw at least at the end. It actually became better for PSG. That was a nice little match, and I think that's a better reflection of what we're going to see in the return leg. I think it's a great match for the neutral. I enjoyed this match, even though it was 1-0, and not all the passages were exciting, but broadly it were. People were coming in, putting in a couple of fouls, putting in some kicks, checking, body checking, speed. Very interesting and amazing goalkeeping. So I look forward to the return leg. Again, I'm rooting for PSG on this one. I'm such a loser that I take into account like every little detail as who I'm going for in these things. And you have to have a stake. You gotta want to go for somebody, even if you're not a fan of anybody. So let me know in the comments who you're going for. But my rationale is Barcelona has won too many of these, right? So I'd rather they don't. It's not them, and I don't want this young crop that they have getting all uppity too soon. So I don't want them to take it. Then Inter would be the one that I would kind of go for, given Serie A an opportunity and all that. But the reason is they already have, if I'm not mistaken, 3 Champions Leagues, 2 or 3, but I think it's 3. And as a Chelsea fan, I'm like, well, no, no, no. I want to be in that top list. So hold on, keep them down low, and we'll try to catch up with surpass a couple of people, be the ones that get to 4 before they do, or or 3 if and so on and so forth. Certainly Arsenal I detest, and I would have detested PSG, but thank God, like I said, they've changed their personality, their identity. I love Luis Enrique and what he's doing, and certainly how he speaks about football. And the fact that even though he's one of these possession tiki-taka type players, he's proven, man, and he's shown it today. So versatile. His team is so well rehearsed. They'll play long balls, they'll do this, they'll do that. And above all, William Pacho. Those of you who know, I have Ecuadorian heritage running through these veins. And William Pacho semifinal. I want to see him in the Champions League final. So absolutely, that's my team. That's my go-to. So let me know in the comments who's your go-to if your team is out. And so please subscribe to the channel so I can continue making these videos. I will see you. I'll be traveling, but I will make you a video about the return leg. And as always, see you next time.